northbound coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, Bangor police have charged a man with murder after the search for a missing man comes to a tragic ending.
Plus, the results are in for the mock election held in schools all around the state, which may provide a preview of how the real election could play out. And as enrollment in schools all around Maine declines, more districts are looking to consolidate to help cut costs. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories and a lot more coming up. But first, a check of the forecast. Happy Halloween, everyone. Looking like a very mild Halloween for this time of year. Going to get up into the 70s today. Maybe a little rain later on tonight. Shouldn't be a washout, though.
Either way, it sounds like good news for trick-or-treaters.
Yeah.
Here's Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Alrighty, here we go. Areas of dense fog greeting us this morning from near Bangor to Bar Harbor, even into parts of Washington County and areas further off towards the west. It's rather widespread this morning. So because of that, a dense fog advisory is posted this morning for the counties highlighted here in gray. That will expire this morning as well. Be careful if you are traveling. We do also have a small crowd advisory up until noon coming up later on today due to active wave heights that we have been seeing. But meanwhile, on land, just some clouds that are tracking through. That's all we're really going to see. No rainfall for us today. We will be under a partly cloudy sky. The rainfall right now is over in parts of Canada and across parts of the Midwest and southern U.S. where showers and thunderstorms are developing there this morning, but for us, it's just the clouds. We'll get the fog out of here, too. We'll be under a partly cloudy sky for today, but later on tonight, more clouds and even some rain on the way yet again. As for the winds, not too bad for today. We're roughly at around 5 to 10 miles per hour, maybe a few higher gusts. Later on tonight, and especially into tomorrow, the winds will be picking up. The hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period showing a partly cloudy sky. Temperatures warming into the 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you, Devin. Well, first this morning, 3 people are dead after a car crashed on the Egypt Road in Raymond early yesterday morning. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office says the crash appears to have involved erratic driving. Anna Kuhn has the story from Raymond.
That crash happened just down the road here on Egypt Road, and police say while this crash is still under investigation, they say initial reports show that this was a head-on collision.
Our crash reconstruction team is working on the absolute causation factors, which we don't have yet. Early indications are that the Frontier pickup truck may have been operating erratically across the center line, and evidence at the scene would substantiate that and struck the Subaru Crosstrek head-on.
Investigators say 56-year-old Gregory Logue of Wyndham was driving a pickup truck down this road, and they tell us before this crash happened, he had passed a vehicle and then gone off the road. When he drove back onto the roadway, he crossed the center line and crashed head-on into an SUV. 80-year-old Tamara Harmon and 80-year-old Arthur Harmon, both from Raymond, were inside that SUV. All 3 involved in the crash were killed. This incident happened around 11 o'clock this morning, closing down Egypt Road for a while, but this road has since reopened to traffic.
And that was Anna Kuhn reporting. In other news, the search for a missing man from Corinth has ended in tragedy. Bangor police announced Wednesday the body of 27-year-old Dylan Caruso was found last week in a wooded area of Exeter. He hadn't been seen since late September when he was in Bangor. Authorities haven't said how Caruso was killed, but the medical examiner's office has ruled his death a homicide. As a result of the investigation, police have arrested 35-year-old Kenneth Kramer of Exeter and charged him with Caruso's murder. He was arrested on Tuesday and is being held at the Penobscot County Jail. Bangor police say arrest warrants were also issued for 31-year-old Dylan Boyce of Exeter, 32-year-old Holden Melvin of Charleston, and 31-year-old Dylan Bellinger of Corinth. They're all facing charges of hindering apprehension or prosecution. Bellinger and Boyce have already been arrested, but at last report, police were still trying to locate Holden Melvin. Anyone with information about his whereabouts is urged to contact Bangor police.
Well, a traffic stop in Bangor ended with a Connecticut man in jail facing numerous charges. State Police spokesperson Shannon Moss says a trooper stopped 40-year-old Cyrus Griffin on I-95 for a speed violation. After he pulled him over, the trooper discovered Griffin did not have a valid license and was on parole in Connecticut for homicide. As a condition of his parole, Griffin was not supposed to leave that state. Moss says a search of Griffin's vehicle turned up 375 grams of cocaine, 69 grams of cocaine base, 142 grams of fentanyl, and a loaded pistol, as well as $2,100 in suspected drug proceeds. Griffin was taken to the Penobscot County Jail, where he's now being held on $150,000 bond.
A funeral director accused of stealing from his clients has been indicted by the Penobscot County Grand Jury. Harold Chip Lamson was indicted on 7 counts of theft by unauthorized taking. Lamson is accused of stealing money from trust funds through his businesses in Lincoln and Millinocket. During a Maine Board of Funeral Services hearing in May, Lamson admitted to allegations that included more than 60 violations and agreed to surrender his license. And a person arrested after police searched a homeless encampment in Bangor was also indicted. 49-year-old David Carver was indicted on a variety of charges, including burglary, theft by unauthorized taking, and receiving stolen property. Carver was one of 11 people charged following the search of a homeless encampment known as Camp Hope that police say turned up drugs and thousands of dollars in suspected sale proceeds.
Well, a Manchester Maine man was sentenced yesterday in U.S. District Court in Bangor. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, 39-year-old Joshua Broham was sentenced to 40 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release and restitution in the amount of $1,120. That's according to court records. In October 2022, Broham entered an Augusta bank wearing a mask and a hat. He pointed a gun at a teller and demanded all of the money in the drawer. After taking the money, Broham fled from the scene in a gold-colored Yukon. 4 days later, Broham was arrested after investigators located a vehicle matching the description with other evidence found inside of it.
An associate justice of the Maine Supreme Judicial Court has been accused of an ethics violation by the Committee on Judicial Conduct. The committee, which supervises the Maine judicial branch, says that Associate Justice Catherine Connors has violated the Code of Judicial Conduct by not recusing herself from 2 foreclosure cases. According to the committee report, Connors worked as an attorney representing banks and banking interests before being confirmed to the Maine Supreme Judicial Court. The report goes on to say that Connors previously had written to the Judicial Ethics Advisory Committee asking if she needed to recuse herself from the cases. At the time, the Ethics Committee determined she did not need to. However, the committee also says Connors was required to consider whether her impartiality might be questioned from the perspective of a reasonable person. The case will be considered by the Maine Supreme Judicial Court.
A newly released poll taken by a state research organization shows the race for Maine's 2nd congressional district is now neck and neck. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bichard spoke with the director who organized the poll to learn more about what else the data could possibly tell us.
When we asked people what are the things that keep them up at night, more than 50% of the people had an economic issue.
Kevin Fay is the director of Digital Research, a Portland-based organization that polls Maine voters twice a year on issues such as the direction of the state, which issues they're most concerned about, and approval ratings of our elected officials. Every 2 years, those polls also include questions about which candidates people want to represent them.
It's a poll of 600 voters, half in the 1st district, half in the 2nd district. So we had 300, just a shade over 300 voters in the 2nd district that took part in the poll. And I think the difference was literally one person between the 2 candidates.
In Digital Research's poll of the 2nd Congressional District, both Representatives Golden and Representative Theriault were tied with 38%, with 21% of voters not yet sure of their choice.
When you look at those undecided voters, they do tend to be largely made up of folks that are not affiliated with a party. They're unenrolled voters that tend to be a little less engaged generally.
The top of the ticket is also a close race here in Maine, with 48% of the total people polled voting for Vice President Harris and 41% voting for former President Trump. As a reminder, Maine splits its electoral votes, with 1 electoral vote going to the winner of each congressional district and 2 going to the winner of Maine's popular vote.
the vice president's advantage in the first district is such that it is outside the margin of error. So we can sort of say with some degree of confidence that she's likely to take the first district. When we get up to your neck of the woods in the second district, it's a little dicier. Former President Trump does have an advantage and would appear, just based on sort of like a quick scan of the numbers, to be likely to take that a single electoral vote. But given the smaller sample size with less precision, it's just inside the margin of error.
In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
On Tuesday, students from around the state cast their votes for federal offices in a mock election. 115 schools participated and submitted their results to the Secretary of State's office. In the presidential race, former President Donald Trump won the popular vote with 52%, and Vice President Kamala Harris came in second with 40.8% of the vote. In the race for U.S. Senate, Senator Angus King secured his victory, winning over 43.3% of kids. His closest challenger was Republican Demi Kazunas with 23.9%, and Maine's 2nd Congressional District was a nail-biter with Representative Jared Golden beating out his Republican challenger Austin Theriault 49.3% to 48.8%. With the election less than a week away, we'll have to see just how the results line up with results from the general election.
Well, in other news, a group of protesters gathered in Old Town last night to voice their disapproval over the decision by board members of the Old Town Orono YMCA made earlier this month to permanently close the Piscataquis Regional YMCA effective this Friday. Their board has overseen operations of the Piscataquis Y since their merger 2 years ago and cites declining revenues and escalating expenses that made the Piscataquis Y, quote, financially unsustainable. Among those who stood outside the Old Town Orono YMCA were members of a citizen-led nonprofit looking to take over ownership of the Piscataquis building and convert it into a Piscataquis Area Community Center. An organizer we spoke with says more people would have shown up, but board members had already expressed a willingness to talk with the group.
They've decided today to say that they're willing to talk, which is a wonderful thing. You know, that's what we wanted them to do. They tried to help us. They were not able to help us. Just give it back to us, and we will do what we can to save that local Y.
Well, the group held their rally last night because the Old Town Orono YMCA had a scheduled board meeting at the Y. And in response to their rally, Zambrano says the board decided to move that meeting elsewhere.
Really hope they're able to get a community center. That makes sense. All right, the time now is 6:12. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, the Schoodic Fire Academy is on a mission to save lives, and they're training the next generation of firefighters to be able to help as many people as possible.
We'll have the story coming up. First, another check of that weather forecast. A warm Halloween ahead today. It will be partly cloudy with highs around 74 degrees. Tonight, mostly cloudy. You might see some passing rain showers, too. Lows dropping down to the upper 50s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy with a chance of showers with a high near 72. We'll be right back.
An illegal immigrant ran an Albion mother off the road and killed her. How did we get here? Before Biden opened the border, Jared Golden voted to protect sanctuary cities, gave welfare to illegal immigrants, voted to allow those benefits to be spent on liquor and bail. Jared Golden created an immigration crisis in Maine, made it worse in Washington. And this is the cost. Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Things are messed up in Maine. The state's broke, light bills are skyrocketing, housing costs are through the roof. I'm Trey Stewart. Here are the facts. Democrats completely control Augusta. They could solve these problems today. Instead, they're focused on how big your campfire can be and banning coyote hunting. You know we can do better. It's time to vote them out.
Paid for by Maine Senate Republicans, Augusta, Maine. Top fundraiser of Maine Senate Republicans is RSLC.
Name a way a woman likes her men and her cheese.
Full of adventure.
Family Feud. Stop all this adventure.
Weekdays at 9 on ABC7.
Here are the stars of our show.
I am your host, Ryan Seacrest.
The Wheel You Love is back.
Yeah! Let's have some fun.
With bigger cash and prizes.
There it is.
What a great show.
Let's do it again tomorrow.
Weekdays at 7 on ABC 7.
According to the Maine Department of Education, school enrollment in the state has been declining for well over a decade. And with more empty classrooms, more districts are turning towards consolidation. Our Grace Blanchard shares more.
We just aren't seeing the numbers in schools that we used to years ago. So the school's really needing to take some steps to adjust.
RSU 63 provides education to K through 8th graders in Eddington, Clifton, and Holden. According to the superintendent, the district is considering consolidating and closing one of its buildings, as enrollment is much less than a 2015 study predicted.
We're about half the number of students that we were at when the study was first done in 2015. So you can see that's a pretty significant change for a small district in Maine.
Between the three schools, there are 442 students. At the time of the study, the Holbrook Middle School alone had over 300 students. Today, there are 178, leaving hallways and classrooms that were once filled with students now dark and empty.
Tough thing to ask the taxpayers to continue to fund buildings that just aren't at capacity and that we just don't need.
According to the Maine Department of Education, more schools across the state are heading in this direction due to declining enrollment in aging buildings.
Even the more, mid or coastal, south coastal communities are looking to do consolidated projects to make themselves more efficient, to reduce their footprint and try to provide educational services in more of an efficient way.
If the district decides to consolidate, it will go to a referendum vote, giving the community the final decision.
You're making a decision that's going to impact, another generation. So we're trying to be really thoughtful about doing that.
In Holden, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, meanwhile, Bucksport is moving forward with plans to develop clean energy at the site of the town's former paper mill. Bucksport is one of 6 Maine communities recently awarded a state grant to support the redevelopment of industrial sites and help Maine to reach climate and clean energy goals. Thanks to the grant, the town is partnering with Gera Americas to determine the feasibility of clean energy projects at the former Verso paper mill.
Having activity on that site that increases its productivity and, as a bonus, assists the state with its goals as well, gives Bucksport one more check mark in the right box.
Gera Americas said in a statement that they're looking at a number of clean energy options for the site. However, it's not yet clear what renewable energy sources are being considered or what it would mean for jobs in the area. To hear from locals and learn more about the grant, you can view this story on our website.
There's a one-of-a-kind fire academy on the Schoodic Peninsula working to train the next generation of firefighters. Our Doug Banks spoke with 3 students who aim to broaden the ranks of their local fire departments.
How many seconds does it take to learn how to save a life?
Every other Saturday
8 to 4
since March.
Somewhere down the road, we're going to save a life.
At the Sorrento Volunteer Fire Department, the Schoodic Fire Academy's inaugural class is working to bring more firefighters to Down East Maine.
The main focus of the academy, getting more people AirPack certified.
Their classes involve lectures and hands-on training.
We have anywhere from 3 to 4 instructors with us in class every day.
A good example, last Saturday we had a guest lecturer that came in and covered all the aspects of fire alarms and sprinkler systems.
The Academy's bi-weekly program accommodates the students' busy schedules.
I'm actually the EMS assistant chief for Schoodic EMS.
I'm a part-time EMT for Schoodic EMS.
I am an EMT for Schoodic, and I'm also food service director of SAD 37.
Their dedication to bring more firefighters to the fold comes at a time when rural departments are struggling with recruitment.
We need more people to take some of the slack.
After their November 30th graduation, this is not the end, but rather the beginning for the Schoodic Fire Academy and for the students desiring to shepherd someone's darkest moment new light.
Hopefully we can get some younger people engaged wanting to join their local fire departments and be part of the next Schoodic Academy class.
Maine is made up of little communities that need it.
I went from knowing absolutely nothing about firefighting to be certified to go into a burning building if I need to. It almost brings you to tears to know that they depend on you and they appreciate what you do. And that's what it's all about. Saving lives is what we do.
Doug Banks reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Thank goodness for people like them.
Yeah, there's such a need for it right now.
Yeah.
All right, the time now is 6:20. After the break, Maine's Versant Power Astronomy Center is celebrating its 70th year in operation. We'll take a look at the journey so far and their vision for the future.
That and more coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Maine's largest network of parts has more ways to save this fall. Whether it's oil, air, or fuel, light or heavy duty, our Napa filters are on sale right now. But for a limited time only, Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
For 50 years, I've paid into Social Security and Medicare.
You earned it. You paid it in every week.
Austin Terrier skipped work in the State House.
But he still took his paycheck from taxpayers.
Now, Austin Terrier wants to go to Congress, joining politicians who would
cut the Social Security and Medicare benefits that we earned.
Which is kind of scary.
It's going to hurt a lot of people in Maine.
I think it's criminal.
Highway robbery. No show Terrier.
Will never work for Maine.
HMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message. Washington wasn't listening to Maine. So we brought Maine to Washington to deliver the message.
Together, we stood up to Biden to protect Maine lobstermen.
Worked with the Trump administration to build a veteran treatment center.
Delivered $1 million to train Maine loggers.
And worked with Republicans to secure our border and fund our police.
And we're just getting started.
Maine's largest network of parts has more ways to save this fall. Whether it's oil, air, or fuel, light or heavy duty, our Napa filters are on sale right now. But for a limited time only, Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
Welcome back, everyone. The University of Maine's Versant Power Astronomy Center and Maynard F. Jordan Planetarium are celebrating a big birthday this year.
Our Kelly Warren takes us through the last 70 years of the Astronomy Center and what the future may hold.
We were one of the very early ones in the United States and, of course, in the state of Maine.
Since 1954, the University of Maine has been on the map for astronomy viewing technology. The Versant Power Astronomy Center and Maynard F. Jordan Planetarium is turning 70 this year. And when it all began, the planetarium was in a small facility within a lecture hall.
The planetarium was here when Sputnik first was launched. You know, we were here 3 years prior, so we actually were able to see the entire progression of the space race, if you will, and share that with people and be sort of the resource for the state in communicating those things.
Since 2014, the Planetarium and Astronomy Center has been housed at the edge of campus with a high-definition dome projector for programming.
When you're in a dome space, it surrounds you, it immerses you in that environment, whether it be on board a space station or, flying amongst the stars or underneath the sea or inside of a cell.
As director Sean Lotch explains,
digital technology is wonderful, but it does age.
The Astronomy Center is starting a capital campaign to raise $1.3 million for high-tech upgrades, hoping to become the only facility north of Boston with a cutting-edge, high-definition resolution.
We want to take us sort of into that modern area and be able to give people that experience like places like, Boston or New York or other places have.
Visit our website at foxbangor.com for more information on fundraising efforts or planetarium programming.
We're one of those places that we change our program monthly. There's always something for everyone.
In Orono, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
It really is an amazing place. They put on regular shows up there all the time. It's a great thing if you have nothing to do on a weekend, for example. Great to bring the kids over there and learn something.
Yeah, I didn't know it was one of the first of its kind in the area. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, the time now is 6:24.
Let's get a full look at that Halloween forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Alrighty, here we go. We have fog developing this morning across parts of Washington County and parts of Bangor, Bar Harbor, and areas further off towards the west. That will be going away as we do get the day going, but because of all this, we do have a dense fog advisory up for the counties highlighted here in gray, and now will expire this morning. We also have a small cloud advisory up until noon later on today, as well as we'll be watching for some active surf at least until then. The wave heights are active out there at around 4 feet according to the buoys. Anywhere you see this light blue, it shows where we have active surf, even up to 5-foot wave heights being noted at some other buoys not too far away. But on land, we just have clouds that are passing through, tracking from the northwest going to the south and east, and that's about it. We'll be under a partly cloudy sky today. We'll stay dry with temperatures, warm temperatures today, reaching for the mid-70s, as we'll be in the warm sector of the system. That is causing some showers and storms to develop across parts of the Midwest this morning, even some rain in parts of Canada. But notice here, as you head towards parts of South Dakota and parts of Minnesota, we are seeing a few snow showers here this morning, colder air getting pulled in from Canada as well. But futurecast for us, the fog gets out of here. We'll be under a partly cloudy sky today with more clouds on the way coming up later on tonight. Rain showers will also be possible late tonight into parts of Friday morning, with a few more rain showers possible as we head towards Friday afternoon. But once we head towards Friday night, just some passing clouds. That'll be about it, and I'll get out of here as we head towards Saturday morning. As for the rainfall, nothing too ridiculous with the rain later on tonight into parts of tomorrow. Maybe some spots getting close to a 1/4 of an inch or less before we're all finished up. So nothing significant. We could use more rainfall, but we'll take what we can get, at least at this point. But your forecast coming up for today showing middle 70s, a warm one, partly cloudy with that southwest wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Coming up for tonight on Halloween, we have upper 50s, mostly cloudy. Rain showers late, trick-or-treating should be okay with that southwest wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow, we have lower 70s, another warm one, partly cloudy. Few rain showers possible, southwest wind gusting up to around 30 miles per hour. All righty, let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Partly cloudy on Saturday with highs cooling into the upper 40s. The time changes on Sunday will be mostly sunny with highs in the upper 40s, and upper 40s again for your Monday under a partly cloudy sky.
With just 5 days to go, this morning, GMA is right there, inside the campaigns, in the swing states, with all the morning's first breaking news on the final sprint to Election Day. Every morning, first on GMA.
Renovating or building new, you'll find a wide selection of high-performing, energy-efficient, and beautiful windows and doors at Hammond Lumber Company. Your Hammond sales representative will walk you through the showroom displays and help you choose options to create a personalized custom look. Free in-home measurement is available, and Hammond can deliver your order from any of their locations across Maine and New Hampshire. Bring your vision and enjoy better light and added security and energy savings with quality windows and doors from Hammond Lumber Company.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
I think Austin-Ontario can be very dangerous.
He most definitely would join the extremists in Congress.
Austin-Ontario is on the same side as the extremists who want to have a national abortion ban. The extremists that don't allow women to have choice.
And these extremists, they're going to try to control women.
It's wrong.
I think you're going to see women die.
I just don't want that for my grandchildren.
Austin-Ontario, he's not going to stand up for my rights in Congress.
At WKIT in the 90s, things were a little different. Now we take the rock very seriously. Still clowning around decades later, 100.3 WKIT, WKIT HD, Brewer, Bangor.
There is a store that is all about toys, where you will find that special and unique toy at Out on a Whimsy, Maine's largest toy store. A magical toy wonderland filled with fun and imagination for every child. Now with 3 locations, Belfast, Bangor, and Blue Hill.
You're watching ABC7 Bangor.
Powerful flash floods have left more than 70 dead in Spain. A devastating scene left behind after rainstorms turned villages and streets into rivers and swept away cars in the country's eastern and southern region. It's one of the worst natural disasters to hit Spain in recent years. Police were using helicopters to rescue people from their flooded homes on Tuesday. Authorities reported some missing, later bringing news of the shocking death toll. Search missions are still taking place in some areas that are harder to access, with more than 1,000 Spanish soldiers deployed to assist in the crisis.
Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris both holding events in the swing state of Wisconsin yesterday. Former President Trump walking out to his Wisconsin rally donning an orange reflective vest. It comes from an earlier photo op using a garbage truck to criticize President Biden and a back and forth over calling supporters garbage. Before also traveling to Wisconsin, Vice President Harris spoke in Pennsylvania's capital. The 2020 election came down to Pennsylvania, and it's possible that that could happen again. A new Fox News poll shows Trump and Harris tied with likely voters there right now. This comes after a Pennsylvania judge extended the deadline to request an absentee ballot until tomorrow in Bucks County.
The Israeli army says it's nearing the end of its operational plans against Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Yesterday, a fiery Israeli strike in the Hezbollah stronghold of Baalbek, Lebanon, caught on live TV. Israel says it gave an evacuation order before striking Hezbollah targets. In Lebanon, the freshly appointed head of Hezbollah, Naim Qassem, made his first remarks, warning that his terror group has no plans for peace with Israel. In Gaza, where people are reporting famine, the Gaza Health Ministry reports dozens of people, including women and children, were killed over the past few days from Israeli strikes. And on Monday, Israel passed a law that banned the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency, UNRWA, from operating in the country, which Western allies worried could worsen the already dire humanitarian situation in Gaza. And coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll have some spooky horror movie trivia to help you get in the mood for Halloween.
See if you can get all of the questions right as Good Morning Maine continues.
Maine's largest network of parts has more ways to save this fall. Whether it's oil, air, or fuel, light or heavy duty, our Napa filters are on sale right now. But for a limited time only, Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
An illegal immigrant ran an Albion mother off the road and killed her. How did we get here? Before Biden opened the border, Jared Golden voted to protect sanctuary cities, gave welfare to illegal immigrants, voted to allow those benefits to be spent on liquor and bail. Jared Golden created an immigration crisis in Maine, made it worse in Washington. And this is the cost. Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Harris Lumber is locally owned and has been serving the Pequot region for more than 50 years. See them for all your projects, big or small. Customer service is their #1 priority. And with a full line of lumber and hardware items, they can also deliver to your job site. Harris Lumber, Milo.
Jared Golden says,
I'm not voting for Donald Trump.
That's because Golden supports Kamala's agenda. Golden voted for their $1 trillion spending spree and against funding Trump's wall.
I'm not voting for Donald Trump.
Golden's for Kamala's policies instead. Aroostook County native, Austin Terrio, endorsed by Trump. He'll support Trump's policies, secure the border, and fix our economy. The choice is clear.
I'm Austin Terrio, and I approve this message.
I'm angry. Do you know why I'm angry? You lied to me.
Hot Bench.
Thursday at 3 on ABC7.
Maine's largest network of parts has more ways to save this fall. Whether it's oil, air, or fuel, light or heavy duty, our Napa filters are on sale right now. But for a limited time only, Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
You're watching ABC7 Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Today is Thursday, October 31st, and today is Halloween.
This is your part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I stole your part, so
That's
I figured
okay.
that you'd pick it up.
No, go ahead and read it.
Known
Happy
for things
Halloween.
like dressing up, trick-or-treating, eating candy, and engaging with all things scary, Halloween is a holiday with ancient origins. First celebrated as the Celtic festival of Samhain, when people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. And then in the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as a time to honor all saints. And over time, all of our other traditions fell into place, with trick-or-treating becoming a widespread practice in the 1930s in America.
Only been going on that long. Look at some of those old costumes too. I think they were truly terrifying.
Yeah, those are scary.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, everyone.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I know it is. All right, and we'll have some trivia coming up in a few moments too about scary movies. So we'll see if you can get those questions right too. Time for some history first, and starting off with some grim history on this day. In 1918, it was recorded that the Spanish flu killed 21,000 people in the U.S. in a single week. Moving on, in 1926, magician Harry Houdini died from periodontitis. Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Periodontitis, I've never heard of it, stemming from a stomach injury. In 1941, after nearly 15 years of work, the Mount Rushmore National Memorial in the Black Hills of South Dakota was completed. And in 1950, Earl Lloyd became the first African-American to play with the NBA, scoring 6 points on his debut for the Washington Capitals.
In 1993, actor River Phoenix passed away. In 1994, TLC released their single Creep, which was the Billboard Song of the Year for 1995. And in 2008, the mysterious and anonymous inventor of Bitcoin published the Bitcoin White Paper, introducing the cryptocurrency and how it could be used in the world.
All right, for birthdays now, we have actor Rob Schneider, who is 61 years old today. Singer Willow Smith is 24, and rapper Vanilla Ice, Ice Baby, is 57 years old today.
All right, moving on now. It looks like some great weather for trick-or-treating later. If you don't want to mess up your costume with a coat, seems like it's a good day for it.
Yeah.
Here's Devin Biggs with that forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Alrighty, here we go. Areas of dense fog greeting us this morning from near Bangor to Bar Harbor, even into parts of Washington County and areas further off towards the west. It's rather widespread this morning, so because of that, a dense fog advisory is posted this morning for the counties highlighted here in gray. That will expire this morning as well. Be careful if you are traveling. We do also have a small crowd advisory up until noon coming up later on today due to active wave heights that we have been seeing. But meanwhile, on land, just some clouds that are tracking through. That's all we're really going to see. No rainfall for us today. We will be under a partly cloudy sky. The rainfall right now is over in parts of Canada and across parts of the Midwest and southern U.S. where showers and thunderstorms are developing there this morning, but for us, it's just the clouds. We'll get the fog out of here too. We'll be under a partly cloudy sky for today, but later on tonight, more clouds and even some rain on the way yet again. As for the winds, not too bad for today. We're roughly at around 5 to 10 miles per hour, maybe a few higher gusts. Later on tonight, and especially into tomorrow, the winds will be picking up. The hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period showing a partly cloudy sky. Temperatures warming into the 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
All right, now we're going to do some horror movie trivia. We're joined with Alex Schley, our new AM reporter, which is really exciting. And we don't know, we were going to just do broadly Halloween trivia, but a lot of it is obscure facts that not the average person would know, so we thought we'd just do horror movies instead.
All right, I love a good horror movie myself, so let's start it off. Welcome, Alex.
Hey guys, good morning.
Yeah.
I'm glad you know horror movies because I do not know anything about horror movies.
So you're pretty much just going to be like reading off the screen of what we have here. So yeah, go for it. What's widely?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
what is widely considered the first horror movie?
Oh boy.
Oh, I don't know.
Step out of the way for you guys.
Okay, wait. I know this one actually.
I think I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, back to us.
Okay, I think.
What do we got?
We're both going with C.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I think so, but it was kind of like the first successful one, right? Okay, now back to the screen.
I was gonna say it's B.
Right.
Oh, we were both wrong. We were both wrong.
The House of the Devil. I haven't heard of that before.
I don't remember that one either.
Yeah. It was probably from the 20s.
Nosferatu's scary though. It's just the character involved.
Oh yeah, he's always been scary in all the renditions. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What is the name of the summer camp where Friday the 13th took place?
Oh boy, I should know that.
I know that one's 70s, I think.
I've watched that a million times too.
I love that one.
All right. We both have A.
And I believe you guys are correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Camp Crystal Lake.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank goodness for
Is
multiple
somebody
choice.
keeping a tally? Okay, next one.
All right, let's see. Who played Pennywise in the 2017's It?
I know this one.
I think I know that
Because
one,
I have
too.
a crush on him because he's a weirdo
Yeah.
and creepy.
See.
I'm going with A.
I was gonna say.
See, I don't know.
In the 2017 one,
Oh,
you
the
got
new
the
one.
first
Yeah,
one
that's
right.
right, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Next question. All right. How long do people have to live after watching the videotape in The Ring?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen this one because isn't she a journalist in that movie? I was like, no, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm too scared to watch it. How many days do we
Pop
have?
up the graphic again so I can see all the answers.
I'm gonna say if you think about it, I think you guys can get it.
I'm just guessing, but
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
guess as well because I don't know. Okay.
We both went with D.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah.
It is 7 days.
So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
3 would make sense, you know? Okay,
so
7
I think
days
I
makes
got
sense.
one right out of all 4.
I think I got a couple, yeah. Which is not really fair. I kind of like horror movies a lot.
Yeah, I like them a lot too, but
You do. I
Just
thought you said you wouldn't know a lot, but you watch so much horror movies.
I do. Some of those I didn't watch though.
Yeah.
So.
I guess we'll have to watch The Ring then soon.
Well, Alex, thank you for
Thank you,
that.
Alex.
And,
Thank you.
and again, you're right over here to our right.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us here. We're looking forward to working with you.
You too. Can't
over the
wait.
next couple of years.
she's awesome.
And we'll have some more Halloween trivia in the next hour coming up, and hopefully I do a little better.
You have
then.
time to study, don't worry.
Okay, we'll see. We'll be back right after this.
Sports updates.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
I think Austin Terrio can be very dangerous.
He most definitely would join the extremists in Congress.
Austin Terrio is on the same side as the extremists who want to have a national abortion ban.
The extremists that don't allow women to have choice.
And these extremists, they're going to try to control women.
It's wrong.
I think you're going to see women die.
I just don't want that for my grandchildren.
Austin Terrio, he's not going to stand up for my rights in Congress.
Now's the time to get a great deal on the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. Professional-grade mowers, durable sidekick utility vehicles, and versatile compact tractors. It's the equipment you need to take care of your land. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus save up to $300.
Available at Doors Equipment, 1468 Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
I have known Joe Baltarci and worked with him for many years, and Joe does mean jobs. Joe has always been a fighter for jobs and economic development. Joe has worked for the redevelopment of the Bangor waterfront and Bangor's downtown over many years. Joe successfully worked with many businesses in Bangor against excessive regulations that would have threatened thousands of good-paying jobs in our state.
Paid for and authorized by the Joe Baldacci for State Senate Committee, Eugene Sullivan, Treasurer.
Bring your vision and enjoy better light and added security and energy savings with quality windows and doors from Hammond Lumber Company, your building project partner.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We're going to start at Alphon Stadium in Orono. It's a big week for Maine football, and one Black Bear receiver is going to make a dream come true on Saturday. Jack Webb has the story.
Yeah, just let it rip. It's just football.
This time last year, Mo Arafin was at Division III St. Vincent College preparing to play Thiel. This week, he's getting ready to play national powerhouse Oklahoma.
It's a bit of a surreal feeling, going from D3 and then playing in the SEC in one of the bigger conferences. But, I'm just excited for the opportunity, excited to be on that stage and just, go up there, compete, play with my brothers.
And I actually thought about him today, just like sitting in his seat, like now you're going to Norman, Oklahoma to play Oklahoma. Like I kind of I don't know if he was ever in his head, but here's the opportunity, and going out there and being in the moment would be the most important thing.
It was actually very much in his head. There were 960 people in attendance at that game a year ago in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. And in those moments, Mo was working towards playing in front of crowds like the 80,000 that'll be in Norman, Oklahoma this Saturday.
I just know if I kept my head down, I just kept pushing, one day I was going to get to that, to this spot. I remember watching college football pump-up compilations on my phone, and just dreaming, like, if I ever get my chance to play in a stadium like this, I want to ball out, make a name for myself.
This type of opportunity isn't just handed to you. It's earned through years of hard work.
My work ethic, that's the most important thing to me. It gives me my confidence. So, just putting my head down, knowing that the work I put in is going to help me, produce on Saturdays.
Going back to just his work ethic, his level of consistency, you know, he is certainly a Division I talent.
After the St. Vincent graduate entered his name in the transfer portal and took a visit to Orono, the culture spoke for itself.
It was a brotherhood, and I saw that instantly. You know, something that really drew me to it. You know, I came on my visit with my brother, and even he was in my ear like, yeah, this is somewhere I think you can come here and be successful.
The Black Bears will need that brotherhood at full force on Saturday against an SEC opponent.
You know, just go up there, you know, just try to, you know, play the best with my brothers, you know, and just compete. That's been the main focus for us this entire week, just going up there and competing.
Kickoff is scheduled for 2:30 Eastern from Orono. Jack Webb, ABC7, Fox 22 Sports.
Thanks for that, Jack. Really cool story right there with Mo. Let's go to some playoff soccer now. We will stay up in Orono for this one. It's a Class C boys quarterfinals. Central Red Devils playing the Red Riots in Orono. First half, Central up 1. Antonio Mendez Camases gets a great ball here from Dylan Dupuis, but a great save from Nicholas Masters keeps him off the board. Still in the first, same score. Camases gets it. Great ball to Brady Hughes, and he makes it count. Nets the equalizer. We are tied at 1 at the half. Late second half, still tied Orono. Going for the game winner, Hughes to Micah Olson. Tries to score top shelf. Look at the bounce from Masters. Jumps above the crossbar to tip this one away. We head to overtime with Central with a chance. It's Kaysen Rushlow, but Matthew Allen is there for the diving save. Great goalie play in this one, but with 3 minutes left in OT, Jay Tweedy sends it to Mendez Camases. He redirects it far corner. For the game winner, it's time to celebrate in Orono. Red Riots win 2-1. All right, moving on now, we head over to Brewer where the Witches host Camden Hills in field hockey. First ever field hockey home game at Hedrick Field. We pick it up second half. Already 2-0 Brewer. Allie Flagg takes it to the net, lays out, but she's denied at the net front. That keeps it 2-0. Later on a penalty corner, how about that defense? The Windjammers coming up with a huge stop on the corner. Shortly after, though, Flagg fires another, but Abby Strout is going to make a kick save there, and it's cleared from the net front. Flagg throws it back in, but it was above knee height, so that goal would be wiped off. That does not count, but eventually the Witches would break through. Jordan Williams tees it up and fires it past the keeper. Brewer advances to the semifinals. 3-0 is the final. Back to boys soccer now, Class B quarterfinals. Top-ranked John Bapst hosting Presque Isle at Hamden Academy. First half, Bapst up 4, looking to add trick play on the free kick from Logan Hart and Oscar Martinez, but Griffin Berry makes the diving save in net. Ensuing corner kick now, Cooper Lewis sends it in, but Berry sniffs it out of the crowd, grabs possession for another save. Second half now, Bapst with a great chance here. Great ball from Hart to Rafa Rentoza. He fires, it bounces back, but Berry able to corral it off the backspin. Bapst would break through, though. Lewis, great ball here to Rentoza. Yeah. He hits Mortez Muller, and he's going to draw the D in and find a wide open Oscar Martinez for the goal. Textbook ball movement. John Bapst goes on to win 6-1. And for some other scores from around the area today, Lewiston beats Bangor in boys soccer quarterfinals. Coney over Lawrence in field hockey. Ellsworth beats Waterville in overtime to advance to the B-boys semis. They will play John Bapst, and Wisdom takes down top-seeded Bangor Christian. 3-2 is the final there. A lot of fun playoff action from Wednesday. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be back.
Yeah, I'd like to kick back.
Skip work, just like no show.
No show, Austin Terrio.
But I can't, because when Terrio did show up, he voted against lowering my prescription costs.
Now Terrio's running for Congress, bankrolled by the Project 2025 crowd, whose plan lets drug makers charge whatever they want.
And threatens to privatize Medicare.
Shows me all I need to know about Terrio. HMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
As a working mom with 2 little kids, it's hard when Jared leaves every week to go to Washington.
But my daddy likes to help you.
That's why he joined the Marines after 9/11. Jared will keep us safe. He knows what matters to Maine families.
He wants to put more money in your piggy bank.
He's protecting Maine jobs and lowering healthcare costs for seniors and families.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message because the things that matter most to your family matter most to our family too.
That nip in the air can only mean one thing. Dorsey's fall introductions have arrived, and we need to make room. Hundreds of items have been marked down store-wide. Flexsteel Thornton sofa in a great quality Revolution fabric, list price $23.99, now only $8.99. Power reclining lift chair that lists for $10.99, now only $5.99. Dorsey's fall clearance is a perfect time to get any room in your home ready for the winter months. Dorsey Furniture, Route 1A, Holden.
Welcome back, everyone. St. Joseph Hospital in Bangor unveiled a new unit yesterday. The 9 new age-friendly patient rooms were renovated to better fit the care and needs of older patients. The rooms have been repainted and outfitted with numerous safety features like new handrails, grab bars, and ceiling lifts.
Here at St. Joe's, we are just so excited to bring this to the community. We can't thank Senator Collins enough. We are hoping it's going to make a huge difference for the patients that we serve.
Well, Senator Susan Collins helped make the renovations a possibility by securing $1.5 million for renovation projects and an appropriations bill.
Well, tuition might be going down at many universities and colleges across the country, but new data from College Board is revealing the average net price of higher education institutions, which is what students pay after aid is added. After taking inflation into account, the College Board found for the 2024 to 2025 academic year, the average net price for in-state tuition at public four-year schools is $11,610. 10 years ago, that figure was $12,140. For private schools, it dropped from $19,330 in 2006 to $16,510. Education experts are crediting a rise in student aid, and, I think probably a drop in enrollment might have to do with that as well.
Yeah. All right, moving on to our forecast now. It is Halloween, as we said earlier. Looks like a very warm day as far as Halloween goes. I remember times in the past where I had to bundle up my kids when we were heading out. Not tonight, though, although you may want to keep a slicker or an umbrella handy.
I know, it might drop.
Yeah.
Here's Devin Biggs with that forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Alrighty, here we go. We have fog developing this morning across parts of Washington County and parts of Bangor, Bar Harbor, and areas further off towards the west. That will be going away as we do get the day going, but because of all this, we do have a dense fog advisory up for the counties highlighted here in gray, and now will expire this morning. We also have a small crowd advisory up until noon later on today, as well as we'll be watching for some active surf at least until then. The wave heights are active out there at around 4 feet according to the buoys. Anywhere you see this light blue, it shows where we have active surf, even up to 5-foot wave heights being noted at some other buoys not too far away. But on land, we just have clouds that are passing through, tracking from the northwest going to the south and east, and that's about it. We'll be under a partly cloudy sky today. We'll stay dry with temperatures, warm temperatures today reaching for the mid-70s, as we'll be in the warm sector of the system. That is causing some showers and storms to develop across parts of the Midwest this morning, even some rain in parts of Canada. But notice here as you head towards parts of South Dakota and parts of Minnesota, we are seeing a few snow showers here this morning, colder air getting pulled in from Canada as well. But futurecast for us, the fog gets out of here. We'll be under a partly cloudy sky today with more clouds on the way coming up later on tonight. Rain showers will also be possible late tonight into parts of Friday morning, with a few more rain showers possible as we head towards Friday afternoon. But once we head towards Friday night, just some passing clouds. That'll be about it, and I'll get out of here as we head towards Saturday morning. As for the rainfall, nothing too ridiculous with the rain later on tonight into parts of tomorrow. Maybe some spots getting close to a quarter of an inch or less before we're all finished up. So nothing significant. We could use more rainfall, but we'll take what we can get, at least at this point. But your forecast coming up for today showing middle 70s, a warm one, partly cloudy with that southwest wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Coming up for tonight on Halloween, we have upper 50s, mostly cloudy. Rain showers late, trick-or-treating should be okay, with that southwest wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow, we have lower 70s, another warm one, partly cloudy. Few rain showers possible, southwest wind gusting up to around 30 miles per hour. Alrighty, let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Partly cloudy on Saturday with highs cooling into the upper 40s. The time changes on Sunday will be mostly sunny with highs in the upper 40s, and upper 40s again for your Monday under a partly cloudy sky.
Motorcycle accidents can happen fast. The effect on your life can be devastating.
I wasn't going to take a chance on my future.
I needed a lawyer who fights for bikers' rights.
Motorcycle law is complicated, and you'll need somebody who knows motorcycle law. A name the insurance companies know all too well.
A lawyer with the power to get you more.
They got me way more than I thought I'd get.
Call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein. Right now.
Tell them you mean business.
At the end of this long campaign, I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts. One is that in spite of the partisanship, progress is possible. The second is there's plenty left to do. Here's some progress. Negotiating lower drug prices, historic new programs for veterans, and bringing manufacturing back to America. But reproductive rights, housing, the high cost of living, and fighting for democracy are still on the agenda. I'm Angus King, and I approve this message because with your help, I'm ready to get back after it.
Maine's premier community radio station, Star 97.7, broadcasting loud and clear on our new tower. 50,000 watts of smooth rock and roll with Paul and Sonny in the morning and Mike Dow in the afternoon. Star 97.7.
This Halloween season, don't be afraid to dive into your dream boat at Hamlin's Marine. With our Don't Be Scared to Buy a Boat sale, you can save thousands on any in-stock boat, if you dare. From the comfort of a Godfrey pontoon to the power of a Wildcraft, both powered by reliable Yamaha outboards, we've got the perfect boat for your next adventure. But these savings vanish Halloween night. Visit Hamlin's Marine, where the prices are spooky good and the deals are to die for.
One great idea can change your life.
That's the American dream right there. I want to be on a team with you.
Shark Tank, new Friday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Spooky video clips from Ring cameras could earn someone a big payday. The security company Ring says it has received about 4,000 submissions for its ghost search competition with a prize of $100,000. Ring is sharing some of its top submissions so far, from unwelcome guests to disappearing dogs. Participants can still send in unedited clips from their Ring app to ring.com/ghost search by tomorrow. So there's still time. It definitely looks scary, though. I hope they, oh, wow, that was scary.
Hopefully they post them all together at some point so we can check them out.
I want to see them all.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I wonder if they could be easily messed with, though.
Probably, with all the graphics they have today.
I know.
But
yeah.
So. All right, finally, buried with a padlock on her foot and an iron sickle across her neck, Zozia was never supposed to come back from the dead. Entombed in an unmarked cemetery in northern Poland, the young woman was one of the dozens feared by her neighbors to have been a vampire. Now using DNA, 3D printing, and modeling clay, a team of scientists has reconstructed the 400-year-old face, revealing a human story wrapped in supernatural beliefs. It's really ironic in a way, says Swedish archaeologist Oskar Nilsson. These people burying her, they did everything they could in order to prevent her from coming back from the dead. And we have done everything we can to bring her back to life.
Wow, I love that story.
Yeah.
All right, looks like we're about out of time. Happy Halloween.
Your first car, your first edition, and your first edition. We're here to help with all of life's firsts. Brewer Federal Credit Union. BrewerFCU.org.
Goose River Farm and Meat Store is conveniently located on Route 3 across from Hammond Lumber in Belfast. They have a wide selection of meat and poultry, including beef, pork, lamb, chicken, duck, rabbit, and turkey. Open Tuesday through Saturday. It's another exciting year of high school football in the state of Maine. Get out and support your home team and be looking for the ABC7 Sports Blitz crew. You can get a free Sports Blitz t-shirt, then watch Sports Blitz during ABC7 News at 11 every Friday night during the football season. Blitz shirts courtesy of
the Bangor UPS Store, Coastal Auto Parts, Sear North Star Tours, Graphic Signs and Designs, Kylie Bean Insurance Agency, Old Town Redemption Center, and Pet Care by Lindsay.
Gun Sports and Brewer knows that for fun, exercise, and meeting new friends, nothing is better than ice skating. Whether it's sailing down the ice, making a great pass, and scoring in a game of hockey, or the great strength and expression of figure skating,
From the youngest child all the way to adulthood, anyone can enjoy the fun of skating. At Gun Sports, we supply the equipment for your skating fun for great prices, the proper fit, and service after the sale. Shop your locally owned Gun Sports Shop, Greenpoint Road in Brewer.
Maine's premier community radio station, Star 97.7, broadcasting loud and clear on our new tower. 50,000 watts of smooth rock and roll with Paul and Sonny in the morning and Mike Dow in the afternoon. Star 97.7.
You've lived quite a life. Now, it's time to live it up. We're here to help you enjoy all you've earned. Brewer Federal Credit Union. BrewerFCU.org.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Good morning, America. Overnight, the new World Series champions crowned. Hollywood ending.
Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
Search for a missing man comes to a tragic ending.
Plus, the results are in for the mock election held in schools all around the state this week, which may provide a preview of how the real election could play out.
And as enrollment in schools has all around Maine declines, more districts are looking to consolidate to cut costs. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories and a lot more coming up, including the latest terrible accident in the town of Raymond. That's where 3 people were killed in a crash yesterday. We'll have that in just a few moments. But first, a check of the forecast. It is Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone. As far as the forecast goes, it's going to be on the mild side for this holiday. Some years past, you might have had to bundle up, but